Hey, fifth grade. So today I want you to look at how to draw something in particular. And that particular thing is something that a lot of people are actually afraid of drawing, and that is faces. Now, faces and portraits are one of my favorite things to draw. We're going to look at something called proportions. Now, to make drawing faces a little bit easier, we look at proportions. Now, proportions means the size of one thing compared to another. So there's a little bit of math in here, but it's very simple math. So as we go along, normally in class I'd show you a couple diagrams of this, but we're not at school, so we're going to just look at a little sketch on how to do this. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to just kind of lightly sketch out a shape. And that shape, I want you to think about it like an egg. And we're going to get to why in a second. But when you think of faces, our faces are not circles, okay? Our heads are not circles. It's more of an ovally shape. And one way we can do that is by drawing kind of this egg shape. Now notice I'm keeping my pencil nice and loose. I'm going around many times. I'm not worrying about making it perfect. I'm making an egg shape. Once that's done, flip it over, okay? Because a lot of people describe our heads as sort of an upside down egg shape because our forehead is a little wider than our chin, so it gets a little smaller. So what you can do is just sketch out that egg shape and then flip your paper upside down, okay? Now the first proportion we're going to look at is where our eyes are. A lot of people put eyes in the wrong place, but what you want to do is you want to look about halfway down the face, and I'm going to put a guideline like that. Just a line across the page that's going to show us where their eyes are, so about halfway down. Now the next proportion, if we go halfway between the eyes and the bottom of the chin, about here, we're going to make another line. And that's going to tell us about where the nose is. Okay? One more proportion. We're going to look halfway between that nose line and the chin, about here. And that's going to be a guideline for about where the mouth is going to go. Okay? Now these are just kind of averages. Obviously, some people are going to be a little different. This is just kind of a guide to help us. Okay, so we're going to divide it in half, up and down too. So we have nice, even sections. Okay? Now, we're going to start with the eyes. Okay? So on either side, we're going to put two lines. See, like that? 1 and 2. Okay? And that's going to help us see where our eyes are going to go. Now, our eyes are not perfect circles like a lot of people draw them. Now, if we had no eyelids, yeah, we would have perfect circles, but our eyelids cover up most of our eyes. So that shape for the eyes, we want to kind of draw sort of a lemon or an almond or a football, however you want to think about it. We kind of curve up between those two lines, and then the bottom, we're going to curve down. And I'm going to do that on both sides of the face. We're going to try to keep them somewhat even, okay? Now, inside of that, you do have a very circular shape. Right there and right there, okay? The iris is the colored part of your eye. Inside that, you've got one more perfect circle. You've got the pupil. The pupil is the dark part of your eye in the middle, which is where light comes in and we're able to see. Okay, now we've got some simple eyes in there. Let's look at how we can make a simple nose. On that guideline that we made for the bottom of our nose, we're going to put just kind of like a small bowl shape. Okay, kind of like that. And on either side of that, we're going to put it sort of in parentheses. If you know parentheses from English, we're going to put parentheses on either side, like that. Then what you can do is you can kind of just close that off on the bottom a little bit with a little bit of shading for the nostrils. Okay, your nose sticks out from your face, so you're almost always going to have some shading on the side of the nose. So we're going to go ahead and add some shading along there. Okay, now our next guideline we made was about here for the mouth. Now, if you look at your own face, usually, if you're not making an expression, your mouth extends for about the same distance as your pupils. So if you went straight down from your pupils, that's going to give us about how long the mouth is. We're going to add just kind of a dark line in the middle. An easy way to do a mouth is just add a little bit of shading underneath for the lips. Just like that. Above it, we have sort of this dent here. So there's usually this little round shape right there. That's called the fulcrum. Okay? That's that shaded area, that little dent above your lips. So we just make a little curve there and just kind of a light line that heads out towards the edge of the lips, like that. Okay, so we're missing a few things. We need to go back. We need to add some eyebrows. So above the eye, we're going to add some eyebrows. One there, and one there. Okay, all right. Now, we need to add a couple other details. If you measure out from where the eyebrows are, that's usually where the top of your ear is. And if you measure out about from where the bottom of your nose is, that's usually where the bottom of your ears are. So I'm going to put two little markers there. Now your ears are not perfect circles, okay? They're curved and they're more like ovally. So curve up a little bit and then come back down till you hit that line and curve back up. I'm going to do that on both sides of my face here. Okay, when you're drawing, these can be boys, girls, men, women, whoever you want them to be. Okay, I'm just gonna add a little bit of shading on the inside of the ear on either side. A little curve and a little bit of shading. Just kind of like that, just to give us a simple little hint of what the ears should look like. Okay, a lot of people draw the neck very small. And what you want to do is you want to make it a little bit wider, a little bit further out, like that. And that'll just kind of curve off towards the shoulders, okay? All right. Now, depending if it's a boy or girl, you can do the hair differently or however you want. So we need to add a hairline. And that's where your hair starts to grow. So a little bit up here. We're going to kind of make a line where the hairline is. Now, don't forget that kind of comes down on the side of your face. Okay, if you've got sideburns, it comes down a little bit further. And once you've got that, we can add some detail. We can add some lines to kind of show the way that the hair is growing. If you've got longer hair, use longer lines. Where there's shorter hair, use shorter lines. Kind of like that. I'm just going to shade in a little bit like that. Not going too detailed at this part. I'm just getting a hint of where things are going to go. Okay, so once we got this far, we want to think about back to 3rd grade when we did our 3D objects. And remember, what makes something look 3D and gives it depth in art is value, light and shadow. Okay, so we're going to imagine light is coming this way, so it's going to be shadow on the opposite side. So on the side of that face, we're going to start to shade in a little bit. One thing you can do, a neat little trick you can do when you're drawing faces and you want shadows, is you want a soft shadow. You don't want a hard shadow where there's a solid edge. You want a little bit of a soft shadow. So you can actually use your finger. You can blend in the pencil and it gives you this nice soft shadow. Okay, so I'm going to add in some shading on the side of the face. Blend that in. I'll blend in. Usually under the eyes, you've got a bit of shadow as well. Okay. Go down here towards the chin. And then once you're done with that, you can go back and you can fix things. So you can define where the chin is a little bit better. You can erase some of your guidelines. Add some more shading. Give some detail to the clothes. Whatever other details you want to put in there, it's totally fine. It's up to you, okay? You go back where things should be darker, darken them up, do some more blending, like that. And one thing you can do in the eyes is just just makes a couple little lines that go outward from the pupil to give a little nice detail to it and leave a little bit of light hitting it for reflection. Okay. And it's all about detail after that, but for right now we're just looking at the basics. Okay. So things to remember. We started with upside down egg shape. Flip it over. We measured halfway down for your eyes. Eyes are halfway down. A lot of people try to put them way up here, but they should be halfway down. Okay. Halfway between the eyes and the chin. We've got that nose line where the bottom of the nose is. And then halfway between the nose and the chin, you've got the mouth line. Okay. So practice, do a couple faces, try it out. I'm not looking for perfection here, just looking for practice. Because if you put things where they're supposed to be, and if you measure and use those proportions, half the time it will just be closer to a realistic face than it would be if you didn't measure. Okay? Have fun, do some sketches. Don't forget to email them to me or put them on Google Classroom. Love to see what you're working on. Thanks, guys. Talk to you soon.